It's been a little while since we've watched a video from the legendary law YouTuber Legal Eagle, a man who not only started out as a lawyer and started making law-based YouTube videos to educate people and went really viral doing it and is now immensely successful, but on top of that has created his own law firm that you can hire to deal with your legal troubles in a variety of different situations. He even has brought in more lawyers as consultants to bring into his episodes or just to help him when it comes to making scripts and, just referencing the law when it comes to any commentary he might give. And as a lawyer who genuinely cares about the law, cares about the spirit of the law and the letter of it, seeing Donald Trump shit all over it, disregard it, and then take what he wants with zero discretion has really kind of like blackpilled him by the looks of things. Like he really has been hard on the anti-Trump train, and for all the right reasons, as any reasonable person would be. I say it like I'm surprised, like it's a crazy thing, but in this day and age, it feels like so many people are either afraid or too at sometimes it really feels intentionally ignorant on politics to know how bad things are right now and that they should be opposed to Donald Trump. And so over the last year plus, he has been going hard on the Trump administration and has been repeatedly putting out great content that has been getting hella views and influencing tons of people, explaining to them why what Trump is doing right now is not just illegal objectively. So, out the window with all of Trump's claims of law and order. But on top of that, it's all hypocritical. That what Trump's doing is wrong, not just illegal. He's gotten really good at it, but to be clear, Trump's not been the only target among the cronies of MAGA. Elon has been too, because Elon does not keep his nose clean, legally speaking. In fact, his company, Tesla, is thought to be the most overvalued company in the American market. Period. By a lot, if I'm not mistaken. Let me look into this, actually. I don't want to spread misinfo. Tesla overvalued? Question mark. UBS analysts say Tesla stock remains overvalued ahead of next earnings rank. Yep. Basically, Tesla is not really a profitable, successful company. All of its energy comes from hype. That's where it all comes from. People are buying immense amounts of shares in Tesla because it's considered a starter share, up there with your safe index fund investments, right? And so Elon Musk has continuously gotten away with over-promising, under-delivering, outright lying, and oftentimes delivering shit products, especially in recent times. There was a time, going back 5 or 6 years, where Teslas were trying to be electric cars. Yes, they were definitely working on, the whole, self-driving thing, but they were just trying to be relatively affordable, luxury electric cars. That was their goal. Or pseudo-luxury electric cars. And then Elon Musk got such a massive ego over the amount of attention he got in recent years that he started really getting heavy-handed when it came to the design and features of these vehicles, and now their standards are way below spec. Have you seen how many videos on the internet there are of people just ripping Teslas apart with their bare hands? Because everything's just glued together. It's all cheap garbage. The company's really fallen these days, and as it turns out, the self-driving is not all that safe. Who would have thunk it? Problematically, I've been hearing that there is a trend, and I have no doubt at some point this is going to blow up and everyone's going to be talking about it. There's no way they're not going to. But there's apparently been a trend on a variety of porn sites where amateur self-made porn artists are doing videos of them fucking in self-driving cars, primarily Teslas. I think the Teslas work on the highway, so they're publicly fucking on video on the highway in a self-driving car that theoretically could just crash and kill countless people any moment if you're not ready to handle the wheel. Apparently this is getting to be a pretty popular trend. There's gonna be a reckoning for that, dude. Like, right now it's just a meme that people have been talking about and calling out from time to time. That once that hits the mainstream and people are like, pornographers having sex in their cars while they're driving, could this be something you have to worry about on the road? Once that happens, everyone's going to be talking about it. But all that aside, of course the self-driving is not this infallible autopilot like you see in the sci-fi movies back in the day. No. It's very much still in beta. You know, they're still testing it, they're still working on it. One day that tech might be made into something very impressive, but right now, it's faulty. And on top of that, keep in mind, Teslas fucking suck when it comes to their durability. And particularly with the case of the Cybertruck, Elon Musk doesn't really seem to understand why cars have crumple zones and why the crumple zones are where they are. And so it seems as though crashing a Tesla is really bad if you're the one driving the Tesla. Like, more so than your average electric car. And so recently, or probably a couple years ago at this point, there was a big fatal crash involving Tesla's autopilot. And Tesla got sued. And Tesla just lost. Big time. In fact, our legal expert here, Legal Eagle, just put out a video called "The End of Tesla?" about this fatal car crash lawsuit and Tesla losing. Elon Musk losing. And if legal experts are saying that this could be the end of Tesla as a company because it's that big of an L, this could be it, guys. This could actually be it. Keep in mind, Elon's already nuked his reputation and cult following among MAGA over the last 4 months over his breakup with Trump. So don't forget that. Let's take a look at this Legal Eagle video. He makes really good stuff. We love Legal Eagle videos here. Make sure you check them out.
The beginning of the end for Tesla? And more importantly, does this settle who's responsible for when a self-driving car gets into an accident? In a shocking development, the guy who routinely promises totally unrealistic results might finally be held accountable. Yes, Elon Musk, the same man who's blown up countless rocket ships and the entire federal government in 6 months, has been called out in a Florida...
You know what's so amazing? Republicans relentlessly complain about taxpayer dollars going to, like, overseas and whatnot. Do you know how much of the yearly U.S. budget goes to foreign aid of any kind? All cumulative forms of foreign aid. Do you know how much of the yearly U.S. budget goes into that? Well, prior to Trump, now it's none. Literally less than 1%. Less than 1% of the United States' yearly budget before Trump's guttings went to foreign aid of any kind. Less than 1%. Meanwhile, we've got Elon Musk, who is, with SpaceX, primarily funded through contracts with the federal government. So Elon Musk right here is exploding countless millions of tax dollars. This is tax dollars going up in smoke right now. At least in the case of foreign aid, you could argue we're building up a what's the term for it? A rapport with other countries, you know, making America look nice on the global stage, which could be leverage in the future for a lot of different things that make America stronger and better and happier and more prosperous. But for some reason, we consider our money better spent getting literally exploded. Christ on a bike.
Of countless rocket ships and the entire federal government in 6 months, has been called out in a Florida lawsuit. His company, Tesla, was hit with $200 million in punitive damages by a Florida jury, mostly because of Elon's false promises about the capabilities of Tesla's supposedly self-driving vehicles. And while these verdicts won't be precedential in the strict legal sense, it could be a sign of things to come as more and more plaintiffs start filing suit for these kinds of damages. Here in these lawsuits, the plaintiffs allege that Tesla and Elon have routinely claimed that Tesla's vehicles were safer and more autonomous than they actually are. And worse, the company has used public roadways to beta test.
That's right, folks. If you're some amateur pornographer out there making those Tesla highway fucking videos, you better stop. That shit ain't safe.
Unproven technology. and the jury agreed and slapped the company with $200 million in punitive damages. But that may be the least of Tesla's problems, because another lawsuit was just filed in Texas accusing Musk and Tesla of falsely propping up Tesla's stock value by lying to investors and the public about its technology. Now these two...
Remember, at this point, Elon Musk regularly does open market manipulation and gets away with it. Back in the day, all he could do was say, Doge to the moon, because despite it in function being almost identical to stock trading, crypto trading is new. So new, in fact, that we don't have rules around market manipulation that prosecute people that engage in it and make a massive profit off of it when it comes to crypto. And so Elon Musk would regularly like rug pull his own followers with Dogecoin. All that hype over Dogecoin, that was all him having already invested in Dogecoin immensely, like tons of money, no doubt, and then hyping it up and selling. Dogecoin famously died after its peak and never really recovered. I think that was Elon pulling his money out. I think years ago, Elon Musk pulled his money out of Dogecoin, and that's why it's never really recovered back to what it was all those years ago. Because somebody really wealthy had put a lot of money into it and then pulled out and never bought back in. So, like, you just can't fill that gap anymore. So, now it's a dead meme coin.
Lawsuits both hinge on one crucial idea, that Elon and Tesla have overpromised and underperformed regarding the company's autonomous vehicles. They've claimed that autopilot is safer than a human driver, even though some studies have shown that not to be the case for Tesla, and they've beta tested those devices on American roadways. Plaintiffs in both cases are arguing that this marketing is deceptive and gives rise to legal liability.
You literally should never be able to claim that an autopilot is better than a human driver because, like, what human driver? How do you know what that human driver will be? How do you know you're not dealing with a professional driver here? Like, if you're going to claim better than a human driver, you have to claim, like, better than 54% of human drivers. Like, that should be the legal standard you have to, like, qualify for your autopilot. Like, this gets into less crashes than 62% of drivers over a 1 or 2 or 5 year period. Like, that should be the legal standard. Because that's how you actually get an understanding of how much better the autopilot is than your average driver.
Now, relevant here, on April 25th, 2019, 22-year-old Nibel Benavides Leon was standing beside a parked Chevy Tahoe with her boyfriend, Dylan Angulo. This part of Key Largo, Florida is close to the beach, and vehicles are often parked along the roadside near the intersection of Carl Sound Road and County Road 905. It was dark, but the intersection was marked by a stop sign, a flashing red light, and several reflectors. George McGee had purchased his Tesla Model S earlier that year to use on his regular commute from Key Largo. At 9:25 p.m. on April 25th, he was driving the vehicle with Tesla's autopilot feature turned on. Now, because autopilot was abiding by the speed limit, which wasn't fast enough for McGee's taste, he pressed down on the accelerator to make the vehicle speed up. Now, despite McGee's decision to override the system's speed control, autopilot remained engaged. And while cruising down Carl Sound Road, McGee dropped his cell phone. He was apparently...
How smart of a design is that, huh? Disengage autopilot by pushing down on the accelerator pedal. Slightly accelerate to retake control of the car. It's like, dude, if you're heading at something like this, you do not want you want the brake, if anything, to be the take control button, you know? Any pressure on the brake should be what does that. Why the acceleration? Of course that's going to end badly, especially if the autopilot doesn't disengage like it's supposed to.
Apparently rummaging around the floor trying to find the phone as the Tesla approached the intersection with County Road 905. McGee, who was not looking at the road, didn't brake.
Like, that is as bad as it gets, too. Like, not only was the car not even in the road, so you can't even argue like, oh, well, you know, if the car wasn't in the way, everything would have been fine. No, this car was parked on the side of the road behind multiple reflective signs that this Tesla had to barrel through to get to this car and kill the person inside, because this was a fatal crash. Absolutely wild.
As the Tesla approached the intersection with County Road 905, McGee, who was not looking at the road, didn't brake. The car, which was supposed to have automatic safety brakes...
There you go. Tesla driver, not looking at the road, trusting too much in the autopilot. The kind of people who get the car that is marketed on you don't have to pay attention while you're driving are the kind of people who are going to get it and then immediately stop paying attention while they're driving while using this feature. So more of this should be expected.
Also failed to brake or even slow down, despite registering the stop sign, reflectors, stationary vehicle, and pedestrians in front of it. The Tesla blew through the intersection.
Yeah, isn't this all because Tesla, Elon Musk and Tesla insist on using radar-based autopilot and not just normal cameras? Because, you could totally do this easier if you use normal cameras to identify the environment. It's just a bunch of cameras in all directions around the vehicle. Could use, an advanced AI could get the job done. But Elon wants to use radar signal, because I guess it's cheaper, to pull off oh, no, it's LiDAR. He wants to use, LiDAR, I guess because it's cheaper, to pull off, a perfect read of the surroundings of the car at all times, and then it, actively adjust for what it needs to do at that time. Yeah. It's the opposite. They use cameras instead of LiDAR. Ah, I see. Okay. I guess the person who said that they need to stop using LiDAR instead of cameras is wrong. Other way around, he does not want to use LiDAR because it costs money. Ah, okay. Well, I mixed it up. My bad.
With County Road 905 and struck the parked Tahoe while going about 60 miles an hour. The Tahoe then rammed into Nibel and Dylan, hurtling both of them into the bushes. She died and he was left with permanent injuries. The Nibel's family filed suit in Florida State Court. Tesla removed the case to the federal court in the Southern District of Florida, where Judge Beth Bloom presided over the case. Angulo's separate lawsuit was then consolidated with this one. Now, in their amended complaint, plaintiffs argued that Tesla was liable under 4 counts: defective design, failure to warn, defective manufacture, and negligent misrepresentation. The first 3 counts are strict liability.
They used to use LiDAR and removed it around 2020, probably started because of the global chip shortage. Funnily enough, it was Biden who was going to do something about that for American manufacturers like Elon.
Claims, which means that Tesla can be held.
It was Biden that did do that for it. We almost pulled ahead, and we're #1 in the world in computer chip manufacturing because of what Biden did.
Responsible for damages or injuries, regardless of whether they were negligent or intended to cause harm. And to support their claims, plaintiffs presented a long list of supposed misrepresentations, safety problems, and negligent acts, starting with the name Autopilot itself, which plaintiffs claim was misleading on its face. They cited Tesla's own survey, which found that 47 out of 675 drivers thought the term meant the car could drive itself. And the plaintiffs' filings pointed to a string of other misleadingly optimistic claims from Tesla and CEO Elon Musk, including the company's famously misleading 2016 Paint It Black video. The ad made Autopilot look flawless, but Tesla employees later told the New York Times that the video was heavily edited to hide the vehicle's mistakes, including a crash into a roadside barrier. And
remember, same guy who wanted to showcase his plans to make humanoid robots, and so Elon Musk brought out an army of guys dressed in bodysuits to look like Tesla robots and had them do the robot on stage. And then he did the robot with them, and it was really cringe.
instead of warning people about the system's limits, Tesla has allegedly fueled overconfidence. In the opening of the Paint It Black video, the company declares, quote, "The person in the driver's seat is only there for legal reasons. He's not doing anything, the car is driving itself." And according to plaintiffs, statements like this convinced drivers, including George McGee, that they could take their eyes off the road and trust the car to avoid accidents. Now, Musk and Tesla have also repeatedly said that autopilot is safer than human drivers, though this claim is contradicted by actual scientific studies. A recent study by the nonprofit Insurance Institute for Highway Safety found that partial automation features like the ones in Tesla's vehicles don't actually prevent crashes. Though Musk has publicly claimed that, quote, approximately 500,000 people would have been saved if Tesla's autopilot was universally available. And Musk specifically called out the accuracy of the vehicle's braking system, claiming that, quote, particularly—
Remember, Elon doesn't want other companies to have access to this like it's some open source thing that can be worked on and iterated on and customized and made better and, you know, made into a technology that we would have all had years ago, better than what Tesla offers now, if it was made broadly available and they made their research some kind of open source. No. Elon wants to be the guy with the monopoly on this tech when it's eventually perfected so that he can make all of the profit. Most of Tesla's value is purely speculative. People who are really faithful that one day this company is going to pull off everything it's promised it's going to do, and when it does, they're going to have gotten on that train early, and the company will hopefully, in their minds, be worth several times what it's worth now, and actually be worth it, not overvalued, and they'll be able to, you know, get a massive payout. If not, I think Elon's even promised that people who hold enough Tesla stock will one day get like a free Tesla Model 20 or whatever. but I might be wrong about that. He might have just tweeted that as a joke, or what he claims would be a joke. Yeah, imagine actually having to improve your product. Yeah, not Elon.
Clearly, anything large or metallic or anything that's dense, the radar system in the car, we're confident, will be able to detect that and initiate a braking event. The plaintiffs argued these kinds of statements would have led McGee and others to over-rely on the vehicle's ability to prevent crashes and brake automatically. And the plaintiffs also argued that Tesla had put everyone else in and around Tesla vehicles at risk because Tesla uses its drivers to train the Tesla autopilot system. For Tesla, this is a feature, not a bug. Musk himself has proclaimed that this is part of why Tesla has had such
It's a feature, not a bug, guys. You know, the famous thing that people in the world of tech say when they're not full of shit.
great autonomous vehicles because Tesla's been able to collect all data from drivers who are using unproven technology on public roadways. In a 2023 earnings call, Musk said, quote, "This is a data advantage that really no one else has. Those who understand AI will understand the importance of data, of training data, and how fundamental that is to achieving an incredible outcome." So his plan was to crowdsource a plan. And while Tesla could claim that the drivers of its vehicles consent to the risks of using unproven technology, there's no way the company could claim that every other driver, passenger, or pedestrian legally consented to those risks. So plaintiffs contended that Tesla also had ample evidence that its cars were unsafe. The complaint listed dozens of crashes involving Tesla's autopilot feature, which they argued ought to have put Tesla on notice that its vehicles are dangerous to drivers, passengers, and third parties. But not to be outdone, federal agencies and consumer safety advocates had also repeatedly warned Tesla that its promises about autopilot might be deceptive and its vehicles were unsafe.
Going back to 2018, literally since before Elon's entrance into the world of politics, since before Elon came out and endorsed Donald Trump as a political figure, Elon has been getting warnings from institutions that his promises, the promises he's making for his company and product, are over promises that could be getting people killed, that could be causing danger for people. And somehow, if you're rich enough and your company is big enough, I guess, and popular enough, you just get a warning about that. Like, I guess the government doesn't do anything about it.
Several members of Congress openly urged the Federal Trade Commission to investigate Tesla's deceptive promises regarding autopilot, and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration had already investigated Tesla several times and even forced the company to conduct a recall of its autopilot technology. After a 3-year investigation, the agency declared that, quote, "Tesla's weak driver engagement system was not appropriate for autopilot's permissive operating capabilities, and that resulted in a critical safety gap." Plaintiffs also argued that Tesla had plenty of evidence that drivers were misusing the autopilot feature, but the company had chosen not to do anything to prevent that misuse. While other auto companies had developed safety features to mitigate the risk of driver distraction, over-reliance on autonomous features and delayed driver reaction, Tesla allegedly had not. And plaintiffs offered several examples of potential safety fixes Tesla could have deployed. For instance, more obvious warnings when drivers take their eyes off the road or hands off the wheel, or a failsafe that would prevent frequently inattentive drivers from continuing to use autopilot. But instead, in this instance, McGee was able to continue to use autopilot even after the system had flagged him with numerous warnings for distracted driving.
Yep. They know if you're distracted driving, and yet they'll still keep the autopilot on anyway. That explains how people are managing to make porn videos while in a Tesla. There's got to be like news stories that have hit the mainstream about this, right? People making videos in self-driving Teslas, or I guess it would be NSFW videos would be the best thing to search to not have. Yeah, wait, hold on. There's an illegal advice topic on here. Oh shit. There's a story from Reuters. Apparently, Tesla workers got in trouble for sharing these videos around, like, haha. That's crazy. Here's an article from the Next Web. Wait, did they end up in an accident? Did this couple end up in an accident? This is a video from thenextweb.com. These idiots shot a porno in an autopilot-enabled Tesla, and Elon Musk deserves some blame. Taylor Jackson is a pioneer of sorts. The adult actress, to our knowledge, is the first to shoot a pornographic scene in a moving vehicle without a human driver. From what I'm hearing, not the last. And much like other pioneers, her actions will inspire some, while leading others to reenact an event that could quite possibly end in death. Jackson recently shot a pornographic scene where she and a man in the driver's seat engaged in various sex acts while riding in a Tesla on autopilot. As dumb as it was, Jackson isn't the problem, Elon Musk is. Look, we knew that people would fuck in self-driving cars. This is something we all saw coming. I haven't decided if I intended on that being a pun or not, including a group of researchers who published a report on the topic late last year. That is amazing. And while we certainly look forward to boning in a car on the way to the company Christmas party, the truth of the matter is that autonomous technology isn't anywhere near safe enough yet to allow for this kind of distraction. Tesla CEO Elon Musk isn't helping anyone to understand that, naming the AI autopilot for one was an irresponsible choice, as Musk himself would tell you and has repeatedly. Teslas aren't meant to be driven without input from a human driver. Autopilot is meant to be an assistive measure, not the primary means of piloting a vehicle. Tesla reminds anyone curious about its autopilot technology of exactly this on its website. Remember, Tesla is a company run by competent people, owned by a fucking retard who breaks the law and makes promises he can't keep. Or I should say the engineers can't keep for him. Using similar technology, a self-driving Uber killed a pedestrian late last year. Its driver was reportedly watching Hulu. Few would argue that watching The Handmaid's Tale is safe while driving, but I think we'd all agree that it's safer than a quickie at highway speeds. It's not apples to apples, as the companies use different AIs to pilot these semi-autonomous vehicles. What matters is that none of the current vehicles on the road are safe enough to drive without human intervention. Musk, though, continues to fuel this erroneous belief that they are, not through words but action. In a 2019 60 Minutes segment, Musk conducts an interview while behind the wheel of a Model 3. Journalist Leslie Stahl at one point remarks that the vehicle is operating itself without intervention from Musk. This was an opportunity for Musk to explain autopilot as a system that assists the driver, but instead he talked about how cool it is that the Model 3 could switch lanes on its own. He had a chance to educate, but instead used it as a means to advertise, as our own Tristan Green pointed out. This would have been a good time to talk about the Model 3's classification as a Level 2 automated system out of 5, and how it needed frequent human intervention to be considered safe. While Tesla autopilot accidents are rarer than those caused by human drivers, in fact, well, that's good to know. It's irresponsible to assure the public in such a way that they place undue confidence in systems that are still essentially part of a grand beta testing experiment. This is normally the point where a Tesla PR would reach out to remind me that there are visual and audible reminders for drivers to take control of the vehicle before accidents. To which I'd remind them that one of these incidents, a 2016 crash in Florida that killed a man, the one we're literally learning about right now, the audible cues, according to Tesla, gave the man 6 seconds to react to the collision. Take this with a grain of salt, as it comes from Tesla itself, which certainly was a motive to direct blame at the driver of the vehicle. As for Jackson, the performer involved in the autopilot sex act, are we to assume that she could dismount her sex partner and return to her seat within that time? Is it possible? Maybe. But that's not the only dangerous part. I love that. Could she dismount her sexual partner and get in her seat ready to drive? But that's not the only dangerous part of the encounter. Tesla's autopilot system can be disengaged when a human applies force to the steering wheel, a distinct possibility when banging in the driver's seat. It's unlikely Tesla would condone this type of behavior, but it's worth noting. As for Musk, he's remained mum on the video, which was trending in certain corners of the internet this week. I think mum is like a British term for quiet and like silent. And on Pornhub itself, of all places. He did, however, recently remind investors that self-driving capabilities would be safe enough for passengers to remove their hands from the wheel by the end of next year. If that's the case, maybe Musk's 60 Minutes interview and Jackson's romp on the freeway appear to have come a bit early. Okay, that one is definitely a pun. Tesla has yet to respond to our request for comment. This article is from 2019. I had not heard of this being a thing in 2019 or 2020. I heard about these like Tesla autopilot porn videos only recently. So apparently it's like blown up since that article came out. So expect there to be a lot of like porn and Tesla related crashes in the future. I mean, you know what I imagine is probably more common than people having sex in Teslas at this point is probably people jacking off in Teslas. That's what like every dude wants to do, is be able to just rub one out while they're on the highway. Nah, in all seriousness though, I really do hope that this ends up being the reckoning that Tesla and Elon Musk have deserved for so long. We can only hope, am I right? Just a little bit of karma. Please, just a little bit of karma. Please tell me karma is real. Anyway, folks, I highly recommend you go check out the rest of that Legal Eagle video. That video is great. Legal Eagle is great. I highly recommend you watch more of his stuff. It's awesome. And with that said, if you enjoyed my video, then consider dropping a like if you're watching this, well, live or after the fact, and a comment if you're watching it in the future when this goes up as a video too. Likes and comments are the best way to support the channel, and it's totally free. YouTube gauges the support on a video based on the engagement it gets compared to its viewership. Right now, about 20% of you like my videos and far fewer comment. If we can boost that percentage higher on the average video, that will propel the channel into the stratosphere. So if you haven't already, hit the like button on this stream, hit the like button on the video if you watch this far. I mean, if you watch this far, you must like my stuff, right? If you want to support it and see more, hit that like button, comment down below. It really means a lot. If you don't know what to say, comment who up Xandering their haul. And of course, if you want to see more from me in the future, consider subscribing and ringing the bell icon to turn on all notifications so YouTube actually tells you when I go live or upload new videos in the future. And of course, if you want to see more from me on other platforms, follow my social medias linked down below, particularly my fan Discord, as that is the main hub of my community and fan base. And on top of that, I host weekly watch parties, call-in streams, and movie nights there every week. So if you don't want to miss it, make sure to join. Link down below. And finally, if you want to support me directly, financially, help me keep the lights on and a roof above my head here at the Xander Hall studio, then please consider donating, subscribing, or gifting a sub to somebody else on my website, xanderhall.com/live, or support me through YouTube, Twitch, Streamlabs, Stream Elements, Patreon, or buy some custom Xander Hall merch through the Streamlabs link down below. Regardless of how you support me though, even if you're a lurker and not a liker, though I'd prefer if you were a liker, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a good one.